Hi everyone, and how are you doing? I think I would be making history today because this would probably be the first time, at least since I recall, I've been running this channel, and I've run this channel for I don't know 6 months, 8 months. This will be the first time I'll be doing a video, a single subject matter video on Sunday. But in a few hours from now, about 5 p.m. Nigerian time, I'm going to be doing a space. I'm co-hosting a space where I'll be looking at earnings. And so I was looking at results for the week, worst performing stocks. And I saw that this stock, the Initiates, was the best performing stock, up 60% for last week. That's the first reason. Secondly, I've also had a couple of requests on this channel. Hey, please run through this stock and just share your thoughts on it. So, I thought to, take the opportunity and just serve everyone. So look at the stock, serve the YouTube channel, fan club, and just kind of talk about what's happening and all that. This is probably very few people have covered this stock, I guess, online. So let's get right into it. The initiates, and I know, the name just doesn't give an idea of what they do. I'm hoping one day I'll be able to sit down with the MD and management and find out why is this firm called the Initiates. Well, the company is into the waste management space and all that. And a few days ago, in actual fact, these numbers should actually have been out, or this company should have been on my video schedule for the week, because numbers came out, I think, Friday. For some reason, I skipped it. So I'm making amends for that. Anyways, let's look at the numbers. At the top, I have Q2 rather 25 versus Q2 24. Bottom, first 6 months of 2025 versus first 6 months of 2024. And the reason why I did this and why I split it is I just like to know, doing so enables me to know if first quarter numbers were soft. So, you can see revenue wise, taking Q2 and H1, or year on year on both ends, revenues were up over 200%. Operating profit pretty decent. Operating profit margins for Q2 2025 are stronger than H1. So that tells me that Q1 25 operating profit margins were a bit soft. Profit for the year, profit up over 500%. So both ends, both Q2 versus 25 versus Q2 24 and H1 25 versus H1 24, over 500% year on year increase in profit. Now, profit margins, H1 25 profit margins are better than Q2 25 profit margins. So that, interestingly, that tells me that Q1 profit margins were better. I wish I had the time. I probably need to find the time to. I have a huge to-do list of articles to write. And what I probably would do would be, and you could check the website, or maybe I'd construct a table and talk about it on my podcast episode, audio podcast. That is, usually I'll put Q1, Q2, and all that, just to see a guidance of some sort. Margins are good. Firm meets my own margins. I like at least 20% profit margins. Maybe worst case scenario, 15% profit margins, or maybe bare case scenario, worst of case scenario, if I can use such language, 10% profit margins. But Nigeria is a high inflation environment. Depending on when you track inflation, we're probably running mid-teens or early teens inflation. So if you're not doing 12, 15% profit margins as a business, I'm not really interested in looking at it. And there was a huge bounce in revenue, and more importantly, profit. And the next slide shows that. So you can see, if you check at the bottom, you have, and kudos to this firm, they do a great job of disclosure. I'm quite impressed by the volume of disclosure that they have in terms of revenue breakdowns and all that. Okay, I was going to throw a sub at a firm, but I won't do that and all that. But anyways, so kudos to this firm. They do a great job with disclosure, and you can see the split. Like I said, it's a waste management firm. So you have waste management, industrial cleaning, splits across both segments. Now the if you look at the shift, TGU Quale, I'm not sure what TGU means. Maybe it's a disposal unit of some sort. I need to check further. But clearly, you have a jump in Quale, you have a sharp fall in Port Harcourt segment. And if you see at the bottom, you have FPSO, ICS, FPSO. I'm not sure what that means, but if I were to hazard a guess, I think you were probably referring to an oil and gas facility that they did some cleaning for, because I know FPSO um, it's a floating production, storage, and offloading unit. So maybe they cleaned it and the likes. But I mean, it's good money for them, and that was one of the driving factors by the huge bounce um, in revenue and all that. So yeah, side by side, revenue wise, decent growth, incineration, e-waste, asbestos, tiny revenue, but I mean, how many people still use asbestos these days? So I don't know where they cleared that from. One thing I hope that they are looking at, I don't know if they're doing it, if they're looking at and if there's any profitable angle to recycling, because if you're doing waste, I mean, kind of side by side or close to each other. So this is the revenue split. And finally, I can see what's led to the big bounce, because when I was just looking at the top line numbers, I'm like wondering what happened to the bounce. Um, Cons of the firm. Clearly, you can see there was a big bounce in revenue, but I don't know if that revenue driver or what drove revenues will be consistent. So the biggest issue I have with this stock is that revenues are kind of spotty. It's hard to predict. The fact that you'd see in my evaluation was kind of a struggle. Getting an accurate number. Revenues are a bit bouncy, they're not consistent, choppy rather. Receivables are huge. It's waste disposal business. I'm guessing a lot of the business they do is with governments of some sort. You have delays in payment, but I mean, in fact, I think if an ideal way to value this firm, and that was why I extracted receivables. 61% of your assets are receivables. How much of that money can you conveniently recover? So the best way, if you're going to do any form of balance sheet calculation with this firm, I think you just strip away the receivables and all that. So, like I said, volatile profit, and that takes me back to, takes me forward to my view. Um, in my view, I mean, this is a firm that is growing strongly, even though you might say, yes, revenue, profits tend to be choppy, revenues could be a bit choppy, but it's growing strongly. I wish I had the time. I had wanted to put Q1, Q2, Q3, Q4, 2024, and on the top, put the 2025 numbers, quarterly numbers released so far, so you can see. So there's been growth. But I think that in my own view, um, for a firm that is growing revenues, I say 65%, it was a bit difficult calculating earnings, because you had to, I mean, usually you do 5-year CAGR calculation, CAGR meaning cumulative average growth rate calculation for earnings, but 2 of the last 5 years were negative. So I think if you put maybe a look, if you're able to do 65% in in um in average growth in revenue, maybe you can argue that, look, your profit earnings margins or your earnings, right, are what probably going to grow 20-30%, even if you put it at 20%. So if it's a 20% CAGR going forward, or if you want to be conservative, 15% CAGR going forward, where would you, what multiple would you use to value this firm? And so for me, that's why I've simply put target price of what, 18 naira 20 kobo, maybe potential upside 12%. So my target price is 18 naira and 20 kobo. I have an accumulate view, and accumulate, I think I had that here. Accumulate simply means to build a gradual position. And that's because receivables are high. If you want to be ultra or uber conservative, you might say, look, I'd rather wait to Q1, Q3 rather, and let's see the movement in receivables. If it's still sticky like this, then you can cut down the valuation. If receivables are down, which ultimately will translate to more profit for the firm, then you could, you know what, consider it. So I think ballpark figure, maybe at best you might say, look, what's the what? I mean, the stock popped 60% uh, last week. Obviously, very likely to give back some of those gains. So it's possible it could drop to maybe what? If it drops maybe 10%, 15%, that'd be what? 13, 14 naira. So I mean, head or tail, I think that this stock at bare minimum, um, worst case scenario, maybe you could put the stock at what, 12, 13 naira. So conservative investors might say, I want to wait till it gets to 12, 13 naira. Another way to say is, look, stock very likely will end the year with at least 1 naira and 20 kobo in earnings and all that. So put a maybe 15 multiple, which isn't bad, really. I think if you do 15 to 20 multiple, or worst case scenario, 15 plus 20 is 35 divided by 2, 17. To use a 17 multiple. I mean, I just depends on how you view it. So, this is my view on it. At best, for maybe for myself, I might say, look, maybe I'd start accumulating a position and then wait for Q3 numbers to determine if I would increase accumulation, or I just hold it to the end of the year, hope that the bull run pushes, which has been pushing all tides, keeps running, and then, if I'm not satisfied with Q3 numbers, then I bounce at slight profit. But as always, this is not investment advice. For more content, check out everywhere. I'm going to have lots of write-ups. I'm going to spend the next couple of days writing. There's lots to write about, lots and lots to write about. More earnings coming this week. A few hours from now, I think about 8 p.m. or so Nigerian time, you'd have my watch list for the week, where I break down further companies likely to drop earnings as well. Any questions, drop them in the comment as usual. Thank you for all the questions in the comments. I hope I have not missed anyone out, but I see them and I try to respond to all of them whenever I see them. Yeah, I don't take it for granted. So emails, for those who rather write long and all that, drop an email, info@greentickettales.com. Thank you. See you in the next video. And see you at my space. I have a space coming up about 1 hour and some 15 minutes from now, and we can then discuss further. So if you have the time, this video should be out 4 o'clock. So in an hour from now, you would space with comments. If you want the link to the space, you can get it on the Green Ticker Twitter handle, and all my links are in my bio. So for more info, check out the links in the bio. Drop a question in the comment section. I keep an eye on it till 5 p.m. Have a good day ahead.